Well, it's like the Avengers.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
No, it's better than that.
Do you know what? I haven't seen any of those films.
I've seen 1 and 2. Just try and play around with these different bits, which I never normally play around with. It's just looks really weird with a blurry background.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the confirmation to see if it's live. We could already be live, or maybe it's not yet. Just bear with me. Okay, yeah, apparently we're live. Crikey. Okay, and let me just quickly pin the post. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, apparently we're live. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, and let me just quickly pin the post. Bear with me. That's fine. I've got the show notes. Yeah, apparently we're live. Okay, hey guys. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the third live chat. We hope you find it enjoyable. Yeah, apparently we're live. Okay, hey guys. Good evening. Let me just shut off the voice. It's basically playing my sound at the same time, so it's two different voices. Okay, Rob and I were joined by Julius today, and Julius has done quite a lot of work on location misrepresentation, so we're really happy to have Julius here as a guest. And regularly we'll have Sam, Rob and I, and on occasion we hope to invite guests who are really active in the eBay community. So today we'll talk about 3 topics, but mostly we'll talk about location misrepresentation, and if you guys have any questions, etc., we would really appreciate if you can put it into the Facebook chat. We'll look at the YouTube link as well, but we might not be able to monitor 2 at the same time. And so the first topic is location misrepresentation, followed by some more brief overview and best offer, and how to stay sane if you have the best offer switched on. So basically people lowballing you at the time, it's just like but we'll come to that. And part 3 is just how to keep your listings in terms of quantity and quality consistently, so how to keep carrying on. I guess part of that is motivation. Anyway, I think that's enough introduction. So if I can sort of pass it over to Julius, and he's done so much work on this particular area. So if Julius, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do sort of on eBay, etc.
Yeah, good evening everybody. So essentially I've been selling on eBay since 2000. My store's got about 350,000 feedbacks, but that's because I sell a lot of products and cheap products and low margin products, but lots of them. So I mean I was selling very, very well on eBay. First came across item location misrepresentation around 2012, 2013. It seemed like all of a sudden there was a big explosion of Chinese and Hong Kong sellers saying item location UK, Union Jack flags on the images, next day postage. I'm getting 1 or 2 days, but people were buying items and they were taking 2 weeks to arrive, and they were coming in, via China Post or Hong Kong Post, and people were leaving eBay in their droves, which obviously is not good for eBay, because that was at the time when Amazon FBA was starting to really, take effect, and people starting to go to Amazon in their droves, and Prime take-up was just starting to, really start to take off. I think in some respects that actually drove some of the Amazon growth, because people had just left eBay. So what eBay did to solve it, first of all, they tried to get rid of graffiti on images, all of this, UK location, UK stock, Royal Mail images, Union Jack images, and they closed a lot of listings down back in sort of 2013, 2014. But in typical eBay fashion, they just sort of half-heartedly did it. And then what happened was they thought, right, well, this is not working. So why don't we bring in these things called DSRs? That's a really good thing. We can mark people down for not making the delivery on time. And if they can have a certain amount of DSRs which are bad, then they'll lose power seller rating back in the time. And then they brought in, top rated seller or above standard or below standard. So that was, I think that was Q3, Q2 of 2014. Good idea. Don't blame eBay for doing that. Good idea. So then what happened is some people then decided, well, that's no good because we'll never be able to be attractive sending from Hong Kong, sending from China against UK sellers. So why don't we send our stock to UK fulfillment centres? They'll hold it here. Then we're fighting the UK sellers toe to toe. We're on a level playing field. But what they didn't do at the time was to register for VAT. So at the time, VAT is really simple. Where you got your product, where the supply of goods is, where you register the VAT. So if I've got stock in France, I register in France. If I've got stock in Germany, register in Germany. So they registered so they had the stock in the UK, failed to register, instantly got a 20% price advantage. But crucially, they were using Royal Mail or fulfillment services to get the items out, Royal Mail first class, second class. So that exploded in 2015. It was great. My sales went down 20% of what they were the previous year. It was ridiculous. I nearly lost everything. Yeah. So myself and another couple of guys got together. We worked on the website thatfraud.org. Got the law passed in 2016, the joint several liability law, which I don't think is a very good law. Wasn't my idea, that one. And then there was a further law passed in December 2017, which came into effect about a year ago, actually. And then loads of VAT evaders were removed from eBay. I think eBay never told me how many, but reading between the lines, I think I'd say about 10,000. So then we're in the situation in the last 12 months, because of this, we made 7,500 have been removed for VAT evasion. Made 70,000 companies registered for VAT, and I think it's brought in about 4.6 million VAT at the last. So,
sorry, can I just interrupt? Can everybody hear everything okay? I'm struggling a little bit with.
There's a slight lag. I think he will get past. Just bear with me for a second.
Sorry, Julius was dipping in and out a little there. And
it came up with poor connection.
Yeah, so did mine.
Okay, one sec. Just quickly double check something.
That's an amazing amount of revenue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
But, as a consequence of that, Germany brought in new VAT laws.
Yep.
France and Italy, Spain are bringing in new VAT laws. VAT laws which are better than our VAT laws. So we're seeing a domino effect in that respect. So about a year ago, we had a situation about 10,000 Chinese, I say Chinese, mainly Chinese, VAT evaders removed from eBay, and about the same amount removed from Amazon. So what happened is they had to register VAT. So they did their first VAT quarter, which was probably May, June, July,
yep.
which was due for payment starting of September. Now, I think a lot of them paid it, but then thought, wow, this is expensive. This is 20% we've got to hand over. We don't want to do this. We're not competitive. We've lost our competitive advantage. And for me, my sales last summer, the sort of middle 6 months of last summer were fantastic. But then a couple of things happened. eBay decided they were going to change sponsored product placement around middle of September. So prior to that, the top sponsored product placement was number 5 in search, and then eBay moved it to 1, 4, and 5. Now I think this is because they've got some active investors in eBay. I think called Elliott. They're in the States. They're investing in eBay. eBay are not making more money in the fact that they're not having more sellers, they're not having more buyers. So the only way they can make more money is to extract more revenue from the sellers. So that's why they thought, right, we're going to push a sponsored product to number 1, 4, and 5 instead of number 5. Number 5 worked brilliantly because you were, chucking all the money you like at sponsored products, but you could only get up to number 5. You couldn't buy top spot. I always call the top 4 places like the Champions League places, like being in the Premier League.
Okay, Julius, I'm conscious of it's basically the ads, and it's not necessarily two separate issues, but I think it would be useful for us if we can focus on the location misrepresentation part for now. But I think, as you mentioned, it's definitely connected. If we can.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened is that the Chinese thought, okay, so we're spending 20% on VAT. Why don't we save 20% on VAT? Why don't we move the stock back to China? Why don't we put 20% on sponsored products? Even if every single item we sells on sponsored products, we are making the same as we did before. But crucially, we're getting top spot. So that's what happened, and that was around October, November, and we've seen an explosion of this around October and November and December. I started warning eBay about it, I think start of December.
Yep.
What I found is, I looked at my own metrics. I was appearing in the same amount of listing impressions per month, but the amount of people coming into my listings decreased. My click-through rate decreased. My sell-through rate was still the same. So it was just less people coming into my adverts because your adverts are further down. So if my advert was number 1, it was now number 2.
And if I can just interrupt, I think I remember bumping into you back, I think it was last October or November, something like that. And I think at that time, I definitely remember there was some backdrop, which was the ads program was just beginning to take off, and there was a perception, at least, that if you didn't use ads, suddenly you find your listing were absolutely tanked, and I think that was the perception. And I think eBay as a platform, they do control the algorithm which determines how highly placed different things are, like if it's promoted or if it's not. They can change that, and I think after January, after February, I think it might have readjusted. Do you think? Slightly,
it did, and then it's gone back.
Yeah.
It did, and it's gone back. They're moving it around, and it can be different per location. So how it was working, the item location misrepresentation, the way which they did it was they were quoting 3 days dispatch, 5 days delivery. So if I was to buy
8 days in total to get it.
8 days in total. So if I was to go onto eBay today, it's showing me now I would receive it probably a week tomorrow, or because it's in the evening now, maybe 2 weeks on the Monday. And that's what they're doing. But because people buy mainly on the mobile app, and it's about 70 or 80%, you ask yourself, how many times do you go into a listing and look when the estimated delivery is? It's not as obvious.
And it's just because if you're a buyer, it's just very frustrating if you order something you expect it quite quickly. You might not have time to read the details, but in that case you really have to, because it's just like, what do you mean it's going to arrive 35 days from now? Or something, it's not as far-fetched necessarily as that, but it's just, these sort of negative transactions impacts other eBay sellers, UK-based ones, and it has a spill-on effect. So that means people, as buyers, don't actually come back to eBay because they think, oh, they're sending it from.
And this is what we're seeing in eBay's Q1 results, in the fact that it's flatlining. Growth is flatlining because these kind of adverse effects. If you lose a customer from eBay, they might go on forever because they've had a bad purchasing experience.
Okay.
I mean, I started flagging up to eBay. I said, look, you've got people here. You've got sellers who are getting 10,000 feedbacks a month, and they're getting 800 to 900 negatives. You look down and they say, this came from China, but it was advertised as being in London or Manchester.
Manchester, that's a frequent one. It's
exactly. Or Portsmouth or Cardiff or wherever.
There's a lot.
And that's the thing. So, even to their credit, I mean, it's not easy to bring in new measures. So, I mean, I think they brought in these measures. It really sort of came to the fore around late January, and I think it took them about 5 weeks to devise these measures, go through all the levels of management, and to implement them, because we saw that they'd actually announced them at the start of March. The first evaluation was 6th of April. Now this is where it all gets a little bit funky, because all I know is that eBay have got some kind of team working on this. And this team won't even tell concierge what is happening. They won't tell them because they're scared that it will get out. Somebody will tell somebody like me, I'll go on a webinar, spout it out, and then what will happen is the people who are doing this kind of fraud will think, okay, right, well, let's move on to the next type of. Now, personally, my personal opinion is, if there was a better type of fraud out there for the Chinese sellers who want to, game the system, if there was a better one, they would not have reverted back to item location misrepresentation. So the mere fact that they did, it's a bit like it's the last roll of the dice for them.
So I mean, it's that's quite helpful overview of the basic context of what happened, what eBay did to try to resolve it, and a little bit about what might happen next. In the future, it's just basically we're also quite conscious that we want our buyers to watch this and obviously have something that useful they can take out of it. It's basically, I think, this particular focus, this particular range of items that are likely to be supplied by the this group of sellers, they're likely to be lower price. Is that generally true?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they're normally smaller items. They're normally lighter items. Normally things which can go into large letters. But I saw something the other day, which is unofficially you can filter them out. The reason and the way you can filter them out is if you go on eBay and you search and you put in the filter, click and collect. None of these who are offering, because now they've been forced to do 2-day dispatch and 3-day delivery maximum, but they're still not eligible for click and collect. So if you're searching for any products on eBay, just put on that filter, click and collect sellers only, and then it's definitely going to come from UK-based stock.
You can collect. It's come to Beijing or come to Hong Kong.
You got to get up from Argos in Shenzhen, though.
Oh God! it's like go on. It's a Skyscanner. It's get yourself a ticket, £700-800 to return a £1 or £2 item. It's brilliant. Okay, that's quite helpful. I think, Julius, the particular products you do, I think you're quite specialized. We won't go into too much of the product because I think we're just about more general broad stroke ideas. if you suddenly find your categories have less competition, for instance, from the Chinese sellers, as a UK seller, how can you take advantage of that? So, for instance, can you be more aggressive in your product launch, like trying new products with ads or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, eBay is one of these marketplaces. I mean, I sell also on Amazon. So over the years, Amazon's been fairly consistent.
Yeah.
If there's a fluctuation, it's
Yep.
not as volatile as eBay has been.
Yep.
But something like this has happened on eBay, and that's it. It's like you're going off at a cliff.
Yep.
But on the flip side, as soon as the problem is resolved, eBay can all of a sudden recover in such a fast way, and then you're sort of flying again.
Okay. This is a weird question. I just wanted to, off the sort of top of my head, just ask. I don't really do much Amazon, but let's say out of 10 being extremely competitive and 0 being not competitive, well, how would you rate eBay and Amazon out of 10, being the sort of versus other sellers in the marketplace?
There's
10?
more sellers on Amazon.
Yep. Yep.
Less chance of having a, shall I say, hit product.
Yep.
Because you're coming up against some massive corporations.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if you can get that hit product on Amazon,
Yep.
you can sell quantities of,
Loads.
1,000,
It's
15,
probably scalable.
2,000 a month, on some products. If you get that one really good product, if you can sell, if you got 2 or 3 products and they sell 1,000 a month,
Yeah.
and you make £3 on each,
Yeah.
that's £9,000 of profit.
And what about I guess with Amazon you tend to have more people have ability to spend more money because they're having more eyeball time by the consumers, because I mean people go on Amazon probably more, or would you say?
I'm not quite sure. I mean,
It depends on category maybe.
I mean, what I found on eBay versus Amazon in the last year is Amazon buyers buy because they need it next day.
Yeah.
They need it fast. But on eBay, if you can offer 2-day delivery, RM48, people are prepared to wait an extra day. And I think that's why eBay has been really working in the last 24 months.
I must admit, I do go Amazon first, look on Amazon, and then see the price on Amazon and think, nah, let's have a look on eBay now, then go to eBay, and then make a decision. But like you say, if you want it next day, Amazon.
See, I'm opposite, because I know that most of the reviews on Amazon are fake.
Right.
So I don't trust the Amazon reviews.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever watched Apprentice? The BBC sort of the show.
I'm waiting for you to be on it, Michael.
Yeah, you should.
I'm waiting for you to be on it.
I'm just basically, for some really weird reason, is that whenever somebody mentions eBay, sort of the thing that comes to head is somebody reselling and sort of mom and pop stores, that sort of thing, charities, that sort of thing. Whereas when it comes to Amazon, it's like people in labs sort of designing products and sort of putting it online with marketing. That's the sort of thing that comes to mind. But it's just basically with Amazon, you ideally want product that can be scaled really easily, etc. But I haven't really done as much of that. But I think hopefully in the future
I
need to.
think it's different type of products as well on Amazon. I mean, I sometimes, because I sell on both, you can have products which sell well on one and not on the other, or vice versa. Or you could have a product which is sort of equally mediocre or equally okay-ish.
Well, I guess just from the sort of seller competition's perspective against other sellers, how competitive, let's say out of 10, would you rate Amazon and eBay?
Amazon is
8, 9?
I'd say Amazon 8 or 9. Wow. eBay
6, 7? 4,
I mean,
5?
I think eBay 6 or 7. I think it's easier on eBay to rank and to get to the top of search and to stay there. And I think that the issue is if you can, and this is me saying eBay under normal circumstances, when there's no negative phenomena like item location misrepresentation, as the marketplace was acting last year, you can get a product, you get it out. You might, for me, selling products, I tend to go and sell maybe 200 or 300 units at a loss. Get people to leave you reviews. Yeah, but then you leave your reviews. You've got 50 reviews, and then you already out-reviewed everybody else on the marketplace.
What you obviously got to remember, people watching or people that don't know, you're a really high volume seller, aren't you, Julius? So
not off. So but you think to yourself, right? Well, that's maybe I've lost £100. That's £100 advertising.
Yeah.
What's that? What have you got in return for that £100? Maybe 30 or 40 reviews from really happy customers.
Yeah.
And then you cement it at the top.
And just a quick shout out to Fiona. I think she's watching on YouTube. It's just check the comments, and also a shout out to Sam, who's working in the office at the moment. I think. So Fiona said, I think one of the reasons, I think she thinks basically one of the reasons with regards to location misrepresentation is that you can still change the location at the bottom of the listing, sort of thing, etc. But I guess if you have inventory, then sometimes there's legitimate reasons when they do have to move, let's say, warehouse A to warehouse B or that sort of thing. Like, Fiona says hello. I can just quickly check, and I think Sam added I think in the context of what Sam mentioned is Elliott Management. So basically, they're the activist hedge fund, the vultures. I think they were targeting eBay, and it's still ongoing. I think they're forcing eBay to do a strategic review.
Is. I mean, the same thing happened a few years ago where somebody it was another activist
them to sell off PayPal, basically.
That's it. So this is the same kind of thing, and they see that eBay's in a slightly weak position, especially in the US.
Yep.
And they think, right, well, we can go into eBay.
Yep.
What we can do is we can make them extract more money out of their sellers, like Amazon have. But then the share price goes up, and then we'll sell our shares, and we're off. We don't care what happens to eBay or the marketplace as a whole. They're just thinking of themselves.
I mean, the problem with that is once you break up the organization, you have less and less strategic capabilities. And yes, you can probably have more time to be more focused, but you just become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. All this time, Amazon sort of expands. It's not. It's a valid strategy, but it's just like with the hedge fund. I mean, for them, it's short-term cash. I mean, that's helpful. And I imagine this is probably purely speculation. I imagine what happens is eBay will probably end up selling StubHub. It's the ticketing thing.
Yeah.
And maybe eBay will get bought by a US company, let's say, probably not Walmart, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I think, in the context of the ads, I think they were, sorry, that was pure speculation. It's, I don't own any eBay shares, just to declare. I think in the context of eBay ads, I think they genuinely do want their ads business to be successful, because if you think like Amazon Marketplace, you have had the sort of ads program for quite a long time, haven't you? Ability to sponsor. And I think, if anything, eBay is a little bit late to it, in the sense that it's actually, when, as a sellers, it's when we get it, it's an absolute shock, is that you have to pay more money just to get your items sold more quickly. And I mean, that's a culture shock. But I think on other marketplaces, I mean, keeping things in relative comparison is already happened over there.
Yeah, but the thing is, on Amazon, you're just paying for a click. You're just paying for somebody to clean to your item.
Yeah.
That's not a sale.
Yeah.
That is not a sale at all. You just get, I know of people who are racked up bills of tens and £20,000 and got maybe £5,000 of sales.
Yeah.
On eBay, it's paid per sale. You're guaranteed that sale.
It's a risk-free approach, I guess, assuming that it's actually the amount of people who buy through the ads will be less than the amount of product you sell with the ads enabled. Okay, so I mean, that's a really good tip, and to do the sort of loss leader where you can on the sort of items, just to establish a position, I guess. And I think, one of the interesting things is when the Chinese sellers, if they cut out of that direct sort of to the end consumer interaction, I mean, they probably have more incentive to deal with UK vendors, like sellers such as ourselves. You know, it's if they can't get their products there, or if they're increasingly having resistance, maybe they'll pull back a little bit and just deal with, you know, vendors. Is that too hopeful or too naive?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, obviously there's the I don't know if you heard about Belt and Road.
Yes.
Initiative. So that everything's just so everything will be coming over by train.
Yeah. And with regards to managing relationship with the Chinese vendors, I guess it's still best to be as careful as you can, right?
It really depends. You know, you can't trust anybody. But I mean, for me, I've got very good relationships with my suppliers, so I'm quite happy in that respect. And actually, my suppliers, the Chinese suppliers, they're upset because these people are affecting their livelihoods.
Yeah.
Because there's certain, you know, there's suppliers who just wholesale to people like me.
Yeah. And you manage your selling experience. You manage to make sure it's on time, and you manage to deal with the local problem when there is a local solution need.
Yeah.
In many ways, that's a better structure to have wholesalers dealing, you know, with local people who are able to handle the volume, provide the customer service, whereas having the, you know, vendors in China sort of they don't have the capability to manage it. So I mean, there's almost a benefit to, but I guess pulling back for the sort of Chinese sellers who's used to the revenue from that source to be able to, you know, do that much volume, to pull back. I mean, that's a hard thing to sort of accept, I guess.
Well, I think though a lot of the Chinese sellers were actively courted by eBay and Amazon. I know in 2015 they were actively courted by Amazon.
Yep.
I know eBay's CEO speaks perfect Mandarin and used to be involved with eBay over there. The guy who's the head of Amazon UK, Doug, was previously head of Amazon China. So there's definite links there.
Anyway, we're conscious of any speculation. I think it's helpful to speculate, but I think it's where possible anyway. That's
true on the record that they were courting Chinese sellers. That's on the record.
And the Amazon data. I mean, the Amazon. The more troubling one is when they have the proprietary sales data on your product, even though it might be a third-party seller, etc. I mean, that's a bit. I mean, with Amazon, it tends to be that if you're really successful as a third-party marketplace seller, then within maybe 3 to 6 months, you'll find your product category has been replaced by an Amazon-branded Amazon Basic product. I mean, it's brilliant.
I'll tell you a little story about somebody who contacted us.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Allegedly, and so this company is a £250 million turnover company in the UK, selling electrical products on Amazon. Amazon said to them, "You're selling counterfeit products," and they said, "No, we're not. These are branded products. You know, normal consumer brands."
Yep.
And Amazon said, "You need to provide us with an invoice to show where you got it from." So they did. But strangely, they changed the phone number on the invoice to their own phone. 2 days later, Amazon phoned up this company, this supplier of theirs, asking to buy them.
Buy the whole stock, and then suddenly...
buy the stock from this supplier.
Anyway, I'm conscious of the time.
That's not surprising.
I'm conscious of the time. So basically, we'll come back to the sort of... Yes, we don't want to get libel or defamation stuff. I'm conscious of the time, so it's basically, I think, the application misrepresentation, it's a very much evolving thing because of the enforcement only came in early April, and we're still, I think, it's still watching as we go along, sort of thing. I guess it's only going to. I imagine the enforcement is going. It will only get more strict over time. I imagine that's usually the direction of travel, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's happened is they had an April the 6th deadline, and I think this group, this team, are working on these accounts one by one.
Yep.
So I think they're going to be shutting these accounts down one by one. But they don't want to shut down any accounts incorrectly. So that's why it's being done manually. Because imagine if your account was shut down by mistake, you know.
And just to add, we have no understanding of the eBay inner workings definitively, and
no.
we're merely, but just to cover my backside.
No, all I know is that there is a team working on this, a dedicated team. That's all I know.
Okay, on a slightly different topic, I think actually we'll come back to Fiona's question in a second. It's in terms of this is slightly. I'm conscious of the time again, but. Do you think this is more a broad question? It's do you think in 2-3 years' time, it's not going to be European Union, but do you think some form of authority would require for the platforms to collect the tax? VAT?
Yep.
Okay. I know the current stance is probably that the platforms probably would not want that liability because it's if something is sold and VAT is not paid, that becomes a platform's liability. I mean, that could be quite a big amount, and I imagine the direction of travel in 2-3 years' time, it's only natural for them to collect it.
Do you want me to tell you what's happening on this?
Go for it.
All right. So basically, because of our VAT campaign,
Yep.
It's brought in the VAT laws in Germany and so on. But in America, there was a test case in the Supreme Court last year which overturned a 1992 ruling on sales tax. So they've got a very complicated sales tax. Each state's got its own sales tax. So now what's been happening is the sales tax, about 20 states have got what's called a marketplace facilitator tax, whereby, like, for example, Philadelphia takes 6%.
Yep.
So anything which I'm selling on Amazon.com,
Yep.
and if I sell to Philadelphia, they're already taking 6%. Amazon takes 6%, pass it on to Philadelphia's sales, to the tax revenue,
Yep.
and that's taken. So they're already doing it in the States. So, I mean, just for example, Pennsylvania
Yep.
brought in last year, in the last 9 months, they've brought in over $200 million in tax at 6%. So, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous amount. So if we were to do that with 20% here,
Yep.
then it would make loads more. But so what the EU are proposing is, after 2021,
Yep.
any non-EU sellers selling on online marketplaces, there will be an online marketplace facilitator tax.
So 2021.
2021, and they will take the VAT at the rate of the destination.
I don't want to speculate, but I imagine we'll probably end up with something equivalent.
If we're out of the EU.
Regardless. I don't want to speculate again. I know people have their own views, but anyway.
I don't like the B word because it's not a very good word at the moment, because it's obviously causing problems with regards to divisions, but also consumer confidence. But essentially, that's
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, okay. So, in the longer term, what do you think of? I'm sorry, I'm drifting away, but I think it's just while we have your expertise here, it's quite helpful to shoot some completely offside question. But it's with regards to revenue tax. So basically, taxing a company on the revenue they do instead of profit. Do you think that will gradually spread? So, I mean, it's mostly targeted at big techs. So, for instance, if the company has more than 750 million euro global turnover, and let's say more than 50 or in France or etc., do you think more tech companies would be required to pay a levy, if you like, on the revenue? So, I mean, in effect, that we would then have to pay it to them.
So, what we've seen in the last 10 years is the most rapid explosion of globalization and tech companies. So 2005, do you remember 2005?
When I was young, yes.
Yeah. So 2005.
When Rob still has his hair.
Yeah,
that's right.
Actually,
funny you say that. That is 100% true. That is the year my daughter was born, and ever since then, it's gone.
Yeah.
So you are right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
You
interrupted
are a
you.
spy.
Julius.
You are a spy.
But 2005 was no Facebook. No Facebook,
Yeah.
no Twitter, no Instagram, no Snapchat, none of those things even existed. Amazon had only just started their marketplace in 2004.
Yep.
There was no FBA, no Amazon Prime. There was eBay was still back in 2004, 2005. I think they'd only just started doing buy it nows, just back then. I mean, this is where we've come in 14 years.
We still have Play, the retailer online back then, I think. Possibly. Anyway, yeah, it's so fast, and you wouldn't have thought that Amazon would just.
He's taken 50. Yeah, but that's the thing. These big sort of mega corporations have just gone and expanded, and it's taken 15 years for the government to work out a way to catch up with them. So they will, but by that time, they've got so big. Amazon's got the biggest infrastructure in the world.
Yeah.
They've cemented their place.
Yeah, and they've also got their own lobbying budgets, etc., etc., and their accountants and everything else. But let's not be too. Anyway, moving on. I imagine the narrative is usually that if you're a supranational company, global company, you will want to minimize your tax liabilities in individual countries, and there's increasingly creative ways to do it. Unfortunately, it seems revenue tax is the only way where you can. Because if you tax people on their declared profit, then they often have no declared profit because they're investing or they have other way of structuring it. So I mean, surely that's the only way. But I guess that means some of the costs will be passed to us, the sellers. But I guess
they've got GST and they've got that on Amazon, and it's worked really, really well over there.
Yeah. But how long do you think it's going to take them to get something like that in 2-3 years, or maybe sooner, 2021?
Well, the UK or the EU?
The UK and EU.
So the EU have got things in place. So now if you've got digital downloads, they've got something called a one-stop shop, and you are as a seller, you pay tax on the destination of where it's sold to.
Yep.
And they're having that for physical goods. I think that's 2021.
Okay.
The UK, I mean, let's just say we leave the EU.
Yep.
I can tell you, the UK has no clue what's going to be happening. The UK revenue, HMRC have got no clue.
Okay.
They've got no clue whatsoever. And you can quote me on that.
On that optimistic note, it's Rob. It's Fiona has asked about the ad rate, and Julius, while you're here, what if you can mention how much ad rate do you suggest a trending rate, or do you on eBay, or do you play around? I think your product category is quite specialized in that it's a particular group. I don't know how much you want to say, but.
Okay, so there's several ways you can do it. You can just go and click on there and just do trending rates.
Yep.
You can go and bid a little bit more than trending rates. Or you can just say, I'm going to bid what I can afford.
Yep.
You could do that. So, for example, if you bid 2%,
yep.
but you know that 50% of your sales are going to be by sponsored listings. So you can go on every morning. You can go, look, I've got 100 orders to dispatch.
Yep.
I'm going to do Control and F and look for how many have sold by promote your listings. Oh, look, there's 50 sold by promote your listings. So that means if I bid 2%, in effect, I'm actually paying 1%. Can you afford 1%? You might put your prices up by 1%.
Yeah.
So then you're getting this. Potentially get 50 extra sales for free.
Okay, and I think sometimes it's there's always if you have more sales, then there's always the bias that it's whatever it costs to get there is worth it. At some point there will be some diminishing return. For instance, to get certain sales above a certain threshold, then you will need to spend more on ads. But it's individual business decision.
It depends on the marketplace. I mean, I know people who are in the mobile phone cases sector, and that's something ridiculous. It's about 15-20% trending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Rob, I'm not sure if you want to go into your testing thing. You were testing, playing around with the ads. I'm not sure if you want to share, or we can come back to it another time.
Yeah, it was.
Don't share more than you're willing to no sensitive stuff, of course. But.
No. It did going down to the bare minimum on the trending rates.
Yep.
I think I did it for about 10 days.
Yep.
And saw a big drop off on
click through, but not the actual sales. Right.
Yeah, the sales dropped.
Yep.
The sales dropped, but the clicks seemed to be the same. If I remember rightly, it was a bit strange. It didn't really.
Okay.
Keep really.
Keep testing and let us know. Rob, would you be able to quickly take a question? Have you got Facebook on your phone at the moment?
Me, yeah.
Yeah. We've got, I think, some replies in the chat. Would you be able to take? If we can get there. Samuel. Shout out to Samuel. We did see your message, Samuel. Yeah, it's we tend to be looking at the Facebook. Okay, cool. And Julius, we're grateful for your time. Ruben and I will take some questions. Please do stick with us if you have time.
Yeah, don't worry.
Fantastic. Anything? We can come back to this in a sec. We need to get Rob a new phone, Julius.
What?
We need to get him a faster phone.
He's just using the other.
Sorry, for what?
He's probably using a Nokia 3310.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
From
what do you want to do?
2005. Is there any sort of replies to the Facebook thing?
The Facebook thing?
Facebook, the post. Like comments.
Post?
Yeah.
Heidi Davis said the problem with Amazon is that sellers paying for reviews so your products don't get a look in.
Yeah.
And brand registry that is not taken seriously. And she also says that we lost a very good listing to Chinese sellers. And so far that's all for that in there at the moment.
Okay. And I think yeah, Sam, you didn't miss the best offer. I think that's coming up. We'll try to keep that brief because I think I overran slightly with the time. I'm conscious of the time. Sorry about that. Okay. If we can go to the next section. Okay. So, best offers. What do you? Best offers. We're talking about best offers in the general sense for the listings, as in sort of a make an offer on the listing. We're not talking about make an offer to the people watching your item. That's a slightly separate topic. So best watcher, best offer. What do you guys think? Do you guys use it, or?
Do you mean for the watches, or do you just mean in general?
Not for the watch, just for generally on your listing.
Yeah, every listing basically we have best offer for.
And out of 10, how many? Out of 10, let's say successful transactions, how many would you say is through best offer? 1, 2, half.
All of them. Pretty all of them, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you're into the sort of vehicle stuff, just to double check.
Yeah, for what we do, it's different to.
Yeah.
We're not buying in stock and then selling it. We are buying in stock, obviously, but it's.
You have it. You read it.
It's a means to end. It's turning the goods into money. And it does work kind of different. Yes, we're looking on eBay, we're pricing by eBay, we're looking at sold, all that sort of thing. But
so if it's sort of somebody offers you 85% of value of an engine, you're not going to say no, because that engine might be there for another 2 weeks, and you probably want the space.
Yeah,
and
we
get rid of
kind
it.
of. Yeah, we kind of sort of look around. If it's got 90 days, 90 days
okay.
on there, and then after that, then we'll start looking at offers.
So
somewhere
you monitor the inventory age quite closely, I guess. Either you or a competent colleague.
No. We
Oh, wow.
we'll that's I deal with the eBay.
I think that's a really good point, because it's like I mean, the temptation is to, I mean, the best way I would think is there's a perfect price. You can have the item, leave it there, and hope somebody buys that eventually. And there's an optimal price, which is you win a little bit less, you have a little bit less profit, but you get rid of it more quickly. I mean, it's higher velocity of sales, and if you do that across your inventory, I mean, imagine you can probably do better overall. Julius, I think your product category, I think it's a little bit different. Do you use best offer, or do you think it slows down transaction?
On my products, I mean, I'm really competitive on price a lot of the time anyway. So, for me, my items are ones where you might make £1 profit on each. But as I said to you, if you can get to a situation where you've got 50 products selling 10 a day, and make £1 on each, that's a good living.
Yeah. There's a lot of places that in our industry that only use buy it now. eBay were actively reaching out to people in our industry, and they were saying to list on buy it now first, leave it for 30 days. If it doesn't sell, then go to buy it now with best offer. What they didn't want. They didn't want people to list an item for this price, then the next person comes in here, and then there, and then there, and there, and there, driving the price down.
I mean, from a seller's perspective, price competition is not good for anybody.
Yeah, they want the price to remain high, obviously, but it doesn't work like that.
And Julius, I think there is some appeal to the sense that, I mean, at least this was my opinion. I think it's my opinion that if you're confident in your pricing, set it, and stick to it, and do your research. And if it doesn't sell for a certain time, then adjust it. It's like I mean, we're all in slightly different categories, so we all have our own approach on pricing, I think. But I think best offer, it works for some people wonderfully. It's I think it just depends on what you do, surely, I guess.
I mean, you could have products which have been, I mean, some of mine have been up for 7 or 8 years, but sometimes they can go slightly stale. And that's the thing, you might need to just give them a shot in the arm, and that might mean, drop them down to below cost price just to get the click-through rates and sell-through rate up, or it might have been out of stock for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you drop down the ranking. So you might need. There's all these different things you can do.
So, Julius, you say the click-through rate and the sell-through rate.
Yeah.
Is that for any particular reason why you want those up, or?
So basically, the way I see it is the better your click-through rates. I mean, if you imagine eBay, you look on your traffic, you look on your listing impressions. That's the amount of people coming into the shopping centre, the shopping mall, to look at your type of products. So the click-through rate is the ones who actually go, do you know what, I'm going to go into his shop, I'm going to look at his products, not other people's products. And then you got a sell-through rate is how many people who come into your shop then actually buy. Now, my sell-through rate is about 10%, which is quite high. What's affected me with the item location misrepresentation is because, and it's only slightly incremental differences. If you mean position 1 to position 2 or position 1 to position 3 might mean a difference in your click-through rate going down by half on one particular product. And if you've got that on 30 products, then all of a sudden your click-through rate has gone down by 40%. That means 40% less people are coming into your shop. Now, they might all be buying it the same rate, the same rate, but if you got 40% less buyers, they turn into 40% less sales.
Yeah.
Unless your revenue's down 40%. And that's why your position in search is so, it's so important.
I'm sorry, Julius. I'm just a topic has just sort of I'm distracting you now. But if you're on a busy day, let's say 500, 600 items, how on earth do you cope with that? What's your day like? Like you sort of get up at 6, sort of. How? Just how?
No, I can do 200 orders an hour. Yeah.
What?
I'll pack 200 orders an hour.
I'm sorry, what? 700?
No, 200 an hour.
Okay. Phew. I thought you bought an Amazon robot. Okay.
200 an hour. And on holiday time, I get my kids to work for free, which is slave labour.
Okay, guys. We you didn't hear this. It's a voluntary. It's voluntary. It's a voluntary service. It's a voluntary service, Julius. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so you
not in this house.
Anyway, so it's yeah, no, it would be cool, sort of having a sort of parent. It's an eBay shop. It's just brilliant.
It teaches them about life.
Hard work,
I mean,
and you have to work to get pocket money. And
Yeah.
When I was young, yeah, they do. When I was young, my dad was an ice cream man. Actually, my dad's still an ice cream man. He's 82. So I used to have to go out in an ice cream van with him. So it teaches.
Walk us through a sort of a typical day. So you get up sort of roughly when 7 or 8 and you have a sort of list of order you need to dispatch, or maybe later.
I get about 6.
Yep.
6. Take the kids to school leave about 8, get back about 7:30 from dropping the kids off to school. Do my emails, then do my dispatching. So.
Do you allocate a certain time to like a customer service and just use those time in the day to do it, or do you do it as you go along?
No, it's fluid because you're getting phone calls in, and then I've got things happening like with the VAT evasion issue and so on, and it's difficult, but you just got to try to be disciplined.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily as bad as sort of putting on calendar this time pack, this time sort of VAT campaign, this time. No, that would be very restrictive, I think. But it's something still having some flexibility, I guess. Okay, that's quite helpful. And when do you finish in the day, just to get a sense? Maybe 4 or 5-ish. Drop it off at post office.
Monday about 6. Tuesday about 7 or 8. Wednesday I finish early. I have to go and pick the kids up from school, so that's about 3:30. Okay. Thursday finish about 4:30, and then Friday about 6.
Okay.
Yeah. And I only finish early because I have to do football training. I have to coach football training. So
okay.
That's why I do.
Fantastic. Rob is really bored by the looks of it. Sorry, Rob. I distracted you guys.
No, of course not. No, I'm loving it. It's brilliant.
Okay. The question on the sort of have you guys read? Is it Tambay or?
Oh, sorry, bro.
Is it Tambay or
Tambay?
Yeah, Tambay. I always wonder how you pronounce it. I think I asked last time, but it's just like there's that article on the sort of small sacrifice to it was the stuff you sell. They did the small they did the experiment with basket of listings. It was maybe 1,000 samples, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. So basically, I think they accepted less than full price on some of the listings. So around half of it was sold with offers. But they did get the click-through rate, which was went up quite a bit. So I mean, that was interesting. And I think when they I mean, I guess part of it is down to ranking, isn't it? Because I mean, there's some part of it that's within your control, and some part of it is just like people wouldn't even go into your shop if you didn't see it in the first place.
there's a lag as well. So I think what happens is the click-through rate is about 24-hour
lag.
After. Yeah, so let's just say you've had a good day today on one of your products.
Yeah.
That click-through rate will filter through onto eBay. eBay will see that and will reflect that good click-through rate on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay, so it's not instantaneous, but it's relatively fluid.
I think it's somewhere between 24 and 48 hours later. But so if you've got a new product, you know, you want to rank it, so that's why you might price it at a loss a little bit to start with, and then get the ball rolling, just to get click-through rate up, and then you see eBay wants to back the right horse. eBay wants to back the listings which make it more money.
And I guess this is more of a question, I guess, for Rob, because I think his car parts generally has a particular audience. Do you find that some buyers make you an offer, you barter back and forth, you accept, and they don't pay?
They don't pay.
Yeah, they don't pay. Is that rare? No.
Lots. No, lots. We have lots and lots. Yeah. I would say.
What about this? What about this? What if you, let's say, engine, let's say, old BMW engine, etc., and buyer says it's listed at 500, and buyer says 350, you like 450, you meet at 400, and what if instead of accepting his offer, you just decline it and adjust the price, list, you know, the buy now price, and just requiring immediate payment?
Well, we require immediate payment on all
with
listings
best
anyway.
offer, you don't get immediate payment. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I always wonder why, because it's always a bit strange.
We have some buy it nows.
Yep.
We have some buy it nows. Yeah, because some parts are so lower value that we just put them on buy it now. Not a lot. Not a lot, I must admit. But I'd say
it's a strange one, isn't it? It's like when you make an offer and you accept the offer, you should have the ability to back up your offer with money.
Paying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say 3 out of 10.
I'm too old-fashioned.
3 out of 10 are non-payers.
3 out of 10.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, a lot of buyer's remorse. A lot of people. Oh, sorry, I've been here, I've been there. Some people have been genuine and will come and say, really sorry.
Yeah.
I will pay for it Friday when I get paid. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we've carry on.
On a simple note, we used to use the automatic.
Accept.
No. The unpaid item case when it opens the case for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's harsh. Yeah.
But that we used to have it switch on to 4 days.
Yeah. Now it's 2 or 3.
Still have it switch on 4 days, but it doesn't anymore. I don't know if anybody else has had this, or whether I've got something wrong in the settings, but it doesn't come on like it used to.
Okay.
I think it almost gives the buyer a full 30 days. I don't know if anybody else has had that, but
mine's about 10 days.
Sorry?
Mine's about 10 days.
Yeah, does yours come on after 10 days?
Yeah.
It comes on automatically, yeah. See, I've gone into the settings and I've checked it and I've checked it and I've checked it and I've still got it set to the same, but it seems after 30 days it'll then come on, but I just open those all manually now.
Okay. I mean, that's a strange one, because I mean 3 out of 10, I mean, we generally made the business decision just not to entertain buy software, because I think we attract a certain buyer group for us, which is the group that tended to need more customer service, had higher expectation. I'm just stereotyping, but this was
the same people who go around a car boot sale and say, "I'll give you 20p for that Ming vase."
Yeah, it's like
I had a conversation with somebody once, and I think it was on one of the guys in the American group. I think it was Joe, the crazy NY driver show, the guy that does the eBay show every Friday. I'm sure it was him. And in the video, he said that anybody that says what's your lowest price straight away in a message, they're not a buyer. Yeah, they're never going to buy your item. So just ignore them. And to be honest, that's kind of what we do. Yeah. I don't generally respond to those kind of messages.
Yeah, you're never going to get time back.
Yeah.
And I guess as a seller, it's if we live in our own island, then you are in charge of your own price. I mean, obviously there are other factors. I mean, the ability of the buyer to pay. I mean, that's an important one. Anyway, guys, I'm conscious we're running 9 minutes late. If you can stick around with us, we'll keep doing this for a little bit, if that's okay. If Julius doesn't have to run away too soon. But it's basically, I think, it's a decision as a story you want to, frame how you want to do it. I mean, obviously for some categories, you get a big boost in the click-through if you just enable it. I mean, if you can offer replacement items and not too high a cost, that sort of thing, it might work. It's just, I mean, some stores it might not be as suitable, but it's, I mean, ranking seems to offer it for certain things. But for me, I mean, perception-wise, it's just, I say a particular price. If I see the best offer, immediately I think that price is not real, because I think then even sometimes it's we've all done this, which is as a buyer, you even if you see a buy now price, and even if the store has on the bottom says no, we have a no discount policy, something like that, then they'll still be like, okay, would you like 60% off the asking price? Is that? But then it's.
Have you ever had where you've got obviously your items of a fairly high value, Michael? So have you ever had an offer? Do you use buy it now best offer? No, just strictly buy it now.
We haven't used best offer since 2016 August.
Okay, so you just use buy it nows.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And we haven't used auction since a while ago. But it was before the referendum. But anyway, moving on. That's not really.
Well, no. What I was going to ask was, have you ever had just such a silly offer that you've just blocked those people straight away?
I think I've had those buyers. It's always good to read, and I think this is a useful point. I think this is more what we wanted this chat about, because I mean, when you get those offers, it's really like, why do you even send it, sort of thing. If you're having sort of not a great day, then it's like it's just trying to keep diplomatic, and then sort of it's like sorry, we don't do offers. But it's I think some stores, they do the sort of I think Julius, I think you've probably seen this. It's do things like auto accept or auto reject. I think that keeps some people sane.
Yeah.
And but I think ultimately it's a store's decision. And imagine if you walk into an Apple store, if you can make an offer. Can you imagine that?
Imagine.
The most sort of gross profit focused company doing, it's just insane. It's just a no-go.
I found something out recently.
Yeah.
So I've got a brand of gloves which I've created, which I'm selling on eBay.
Yeah.
Because I'm a football coach, and I've developed waterproof gloves for kids and adults.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get them into outdoor stores.
Yep.
So I spoke to some sort of independent sales agents.
Yep.
They said, we can't make this work because your retail price is too low.
Yep.
We need the retail price to be twice as much, because the retail shops want to make 2.5 times profit.
I'm sorry, what? So instead of making 4 times profit, they want
to make 2.5 times profit.
Yeah.
So I've got these gloves which I sell on eBay for $10.99 for kids and $11.99 for adults, and they said the only way we can make this work, if you're going to sell into people like Millets or Blacks or whatever, it's got to have to be about twice that price, because Millets or Blacks want to make 2.5 times their cost price in profit. So you can go in and parcel them down if you want.
Yeah.
because they've
just
got
have
plenty
to.
profit margin in there.
Okay. I'm conscious of time. Let's wrap this particular topic up. We'll come back to it. And it's just one of those. I think Rob and we probably agree in the sense that if you can require buyers to, when they accept an offer, to either sort of have some sort of PayPal arrangement where that money is ring-fenced, something like that. So accept means accept. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, it's we haven't had the payment issues because we always had the immediate payment requirement. So I mean, that's a great thing. We
Just
can
yep. Sorry to interrupt. What you've just been on now, I was just checking what I actually had on the Buy It Now. So I got 165 on Buy It Now.
Yep. Are those reflective of weaker older listings, or are they just happen to be on Buy It Now?
Well, they're generally
Older than 90 days, or
under sort of £40, that kind of thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm conscious of the time. We were supposed to do the how to. It's more a sort of listing ethic and how to sort of keep buggering on. Excuse my rudeness. It's just keeping the quality and momentum. And I think, Julius, is there any shot in this sort of particular section you can sort of in terms of having the habits, that sort of thing? I think you mentioned that that's a quite good one. Regular routines, that sort of thing.
With regards to owning a shop?
No, with regards to being to keep pushing out the listings at a consistent rate, that sort of thing. Or is your structure slightly different?
Yeah, mine's different because I've not got that many listings. I've got about 100 listings and they're all on Buy It Now, good till cancelled. And it's just about building up the ranking and so on. I mean, some of mine I've sold over 10,000 on one listing, but that's over time. That is over time. That's the thing. So and that's why my particular marketplace is so competitive and so susceptible to people gaming the system. One thing I have noticed recently is people buying more on mobile.
How do you deal with this if your listing is older and used? Sorry, I interrupted. Please carry on.
I've actually changed away from a HTML template. I just use plain text.
So in your face, sort of just plain text and no confusion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little template, but I used to have one of those really expensive fruition templates.
Yeah, they used to be really good, didn't they?
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, I mean, I looked at it, even on my fruition template, which was optimized for mobile.
Yep.
If you were clicking in from the onto the description tab on the mobile, it was taking 5-6 seconds to load.
Yep.
It looked pretty when you got in there, but that's 5 or 6 seconds. People, if you're on a train,
and especially if they've got a mobile phone that's not the latest and old as ropes, it's just.
Well, if they're on a train or on a tube or something like that, I think, oh well, it's 2 or 3 seconds. That's it. You had its chance.
Yeah, and
that might affect your sell-through rates.
Julius, we're really just wanted to interrupt you rudely if I can. It's basically we're really grateful for your time. We've overrun 17 minutes of your time, so as a small sorry, if you want, we will drop a sort of small link if you want, of course, of your gloves, if you like, into the chat note afterwards. Not that it's going to change much, but we'll do that for you because I'm really conscious of the time.
Can I just say thanks for joining in tonight? I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to what you've got to say, and I dare say we can sit here for probably 2 or 3 hours.
One last sort of slight topic, if we can, before we go. Have you guys received the business seller promotion thing?
Yes.
Thoughts? Finally?
What, today?
Yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, by email.
It would come through the messages.
I
think it was some. It's targeted, I think, to certain sellers, I think, for now. There are two different offers. One was, I think, 30% off final valuation for certain goods, and one was some £3 final valuation thing. You know, the private seller, they used to be able to do £1 final valuation, and for the longest time, business sellers can't do something similar. And it's just, I think it's actually brilliant to finally be able to do that. And one of the struggles is now I don't have 100 listings to do suddenly, and because our store is linked to our other stores, we can't just kind of end it and sort of make it new. So it's like,
so why couldn't you end your listing and then relist some other values?
You lose the watchers, and you and it's just a bit. You lose the history.
So then why? Okay, you say you lose the watchers.
Yeah.
Are they really
it's possibly it's more for the sellers who do the sort of auction and antique and that sort of thing, I guess.
What, the £3 cap?
Yeah, maybe like imagine a chair that's usually 10% or something like that, £400, and cap it at 3. And I guess it's just for this longest time. I'm not sure if it affects Julius as much in the sense
it's just the final value fee and it's capped at £3.
Yeah. It's not including ads or other things, but it's brilliant. It's like for the longest time we had this disparity. Sorry, Julius, we're running over time, but it's just I didn't think I would ever get this email in this year.
Yeah, well, it's nice to get it, isn't it? Because we'll despair most of the time, to be honest.
And it looks like it was targeted, so it's focusing on some stores. But I mean, it would be interesting to see if it appears on more. I guess for some sellers it would benefit more than others. I mean, for sellers who have particular listings with sales history, they can't just that or.
I just looking yesterday, and just looking at the account of like the month's bill so far, and it's like, wow. And we do virtually nothing on eBay compared to some other people.
So how much would you say they're writing off? So let's say average price of let's say a seller that really benefits it, let's say £400.
They're only giving away listings, aren't?
It's only 100. It's only 100. So let's say. So if you can save £37 on each listing, I mean that's on 100. So that's nearly £4,000 if you can make the full use of it. If you can do 100 of the £400 item.
And
that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean it doesn't include motor and that sort of thing, but it's just like. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering sort of what the rationale is and whether it will come back, but it's really nice. Julius is there staring at me and it's like, oh my god, why is Michael doing it? Sorry.
I'm fine. I'm just here thinking it's so quiet being in this room without my kids around. I'm just quite nice and relaxed.
Well, at least you can always just go to bed afterwards. Just stay there. No, it's so quiet.
Exactly.
You can have a great night's sleep.
Yeah. Anyway, cool. Thank you guys very much. Let me just quickly see if there's any other questions from other sellers who's watching. Probably. No, nothing there. No, nothing there. Let's see Facebook. Okay. Oh jeez. Yeah. So Andrew mentioned you have to accept the offer. It's shown on the. Oh yeah, so basically to the eBay business seller, the offer, if you're invited to that particular thing for this particular promotion run, it's only 4 days, but it's and it only applies if you sell it within the first 30 days. That's the £3 one. The one is different, but you have to actively opt in, as in click accept. Otherwise, you're not going to benefit from it. And there's detailed terms and conditions. Please look at those. And it's anyway, too much information. But it's thank you, Julius, for the work you guys do with regards to the VAT campaign, and please do keep it up. And I think
thanks very much for having me on. And if you're looking on TameBay tomorrow, there might be something on there about item location misrepresentation. So a little Dicky Bird told me.
By the way, the Times article, the text looked really familiar. I remember
Which one? The Times?
The Times a while back, a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
It looked really consistent with. I was like, oh,
Well,
the mannerism
we-
of this written text. Anyway, but yeah.
I think that's because we told the guy at the Times to write it. Basically.
Okay, cool.
Friends in high places.
Okay. If anybody from eBay is watching it, so please don't shut our shops. Anyway, cool. It's anybody? Okay.
No, that was the Amazon.
Oh god. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Julius. We've really enjoyed having you here.
Very much,
And
yeah.
let me just quickly shut the stream